So remember when I said the Trump coalition's cracking, falling apart? A big part of that was because of young people. Because it turns out younger conservatives are not as hard right as older conservatives. Um, when they see common sense, they call it forth. Okay? So, like I said, people will identify a certain type of politics, but there is a breaking point. There are political leaders that they vote for in their respective parties that they may not necessarily agree with everything on. And you're seeing a lot of younger conservatives even growing disgusted with the GOP and the current leadership and Donald Trump. They're not liking what they're dishing out. And I'm going to show you a video to prove my point here because it's inevitably true. I know people can lie and pretend like lie to themselves and tell them it's not happening. It is. The Trump base is falling apart. Conservative base is falling apart. Because like I said, they built their party on a lie and a cult. It's not sustainable. You cannot survive as a healthy political party governing with the philosophy they're governing with. So, I'm going to show you guys a video to prove the point here. Okay.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. So Donald voters is completely cratering, and the Wall Street Journal recently spoke with some young voters, and so I have some really fun and juicy quotes to share with you from them, also from another publication. But before I get into all those quotes and details, I want you guys to see where Donald Trump stands with the voters, with young voters, or actually I guess this was with everybody. And this is as compared to Joe Biden. They asked people, who do you think is doing a better job of being president? Is Trump doing better? Is Biden doing better? So look at this. So in the Harvard-Harris poll, 51% of registered voters said that Trump is doing a worse job than Joe Biden. Only 49% said Trump is performing better. And then the second one down is Rasmussen. This one is actually even worse, even though only 48% said that Biden did a better job, because only 40% said no, Trump is doing better. And then there were 8% that said, it's about the same. There's really no difference. And then as you can see at the very bottom, 46% of the respondents said that Trump is doing a worse job than Biden in the Harvard, YouGov Economist poll. And only 40% in their poll said no, Trump is doing better. And then 7% again said, they're about the same. Now, what makes these figures so surprising and jaw-dropping is the pollsters, well, at least two of them, because the Harvard-Harris poll is typically always more favorable for Donald Trump and Republicans. Typically, they have the best numbers with Harvard-Harris, only to be outdone by Rasmussen. Like, Rasmussen is the most MAGA poll that you can find out there. They don't even try to hide it either. Like, their lead pollster is always on Steve Bannon's show. And he met with Trump late last year. I don't know if you guys caught the video that I did, but I shared a video of him on Bannon's show talking about it. And he went to DC to try to wake Donald Trump up. He's like, hey, Republicans are going to get massively wiped out in the midterms if you don't change course. Well, went about as well as you would expect with Donald Trump, because he has the attention span of like a gnat on crack, like a cracked out gnat. So anyway, on to the youths. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go watch My Cousin Vinny. So here's what we found with the youths. When the Economist YouGov poll was conducted at the beginning of Trump's second term, so meaning last year, he was in positive territory with voters under 30. At that point, he had a +9 approval rating. check out where he is now. This is so sad for him. So he is now 42 points underwater with young voters, with voters under 30 years old. That is a 51 point swing in the wrong direction if what you're doing is trying to win elections. And here's the thing. I hear MAGA, see their posts all the time. They'll post things like, yeah, well, do you know what the Democrats' approval rating is? Like, it's currently lower than it's ever been in history. Okay, yeah, we're not denying that. That's true. Not for the reason they think, though. It's because we're tired of their fecklessness and their cowardice. We want fighters. We want them to fight harder. It's not because, we just hate you, we hate your platform and what you stand for. No, we like your platform, we like what you stand for, but number one, you got to root out your own corruption, and number two, you got to go hard at these people. You got to go as hard at them as they come at you. So you can damn well bet we're all going to be voting for the Democrats who are most aggressive.
Yep.
Right? And we've seen who's motivated and who's energized to come out and vote with all of these special elections we've had over the last year. I mean, it hasn't been the Republicans, it hasn't been the people who voted for Trump in 2024. And here's also who's not going to be showing up for the Republican candidates in the midterms. So these people right here, this is what the article I was referring to at the beginning. The Wall Street Journal confirmed about 2/3 of young voters now disapprove of Donald Trump's presidency. And they went and spoke with this woman that you see here on your screen. This is 21-year-old Alicia Morales, I believe is how you pronounce her name. So she cast her very first vote for president for Donald Trump in 2024. And Morales is not just some random voter. She became the Indiana chapter vice president at her college, and this was for Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk's organization. She also became the national committee woman for the College Republicans of America in her state. So this woman has influence in the party, especially with young voters. Well, after seeing Donald Trump's cruel deportation tactics, the murder of Alex Preddy, a couple of other things, how he keeps, getting us involved in foreign wars and conflicts, she now has left her positions with both of those organizations. And she told the Journal this. Morales said, "This is not the party I once signed up for and registered to be in." And according to the Journal, their poll that they conducted at the end of last month, the end of January, showed that 62.3% of young voters now disapprove of Trump. So here is that finding. As you can see, that has dropped almost 12 points since March of last year. And they asked these young voters, if the midterm was held today, which party would you vote for? Almost half said that they would vote for the Democratic candidate. Only 43% said, no, I would vote for the Republican. And the Journal also spoke with a 22-year-old Pennsylvania resident. It's a med student named Jathin Dasan, I believe is how you pronounce his name. So he also voted for Trump in 2024, but he said that he started regretting his vote during the government shutdown at the end of last year. And he said, I found myself cheering for the Democrats. And here's why. He said, it was admirable to see Democrats fighting for some of the basic needs that the government needs to provide. So young people are far more, even if they vote conservative, even if they're in the conservative party and registered Republicans, they're far more progressive when it comes to things like, child tax credits and providing health care to all Americans, things that actually fundamentally matter. Like they're just more populist than older generations in general. And then there's a woman named Maylee, I think is how you pronounce it, Maylee Luna. It's Lewna. Launa. Anyway, she is the director of recruitment for the College Republicans Club at Xavier University, which is in Ohio. She is still a huge Trump fan. She told the Journal, I still really support Trump. But she admitted that, in her position, she's talking with a lot of other young Republicans, young Trump voters, maybe not Republicans, but she is seeing them turn against Trump because what they're telling her is they don't think he's focusing on what matters to them, which is primarily the economy. She said, they expected him to come in and the economy would be the first thing he would work on. Instead, it's the ballroom, it's foreign entanglements, it's, immigration, it's all these other things. And then a 21-year-old who lives in Georgia, his name is John Carr, he told the Journal, quote, "It seems like there's always 3 bad weeks, then 1 couple of good days." That's his assessment of the Trump administration. And then check out how these young voters rank Trump on the issues. So this is totally in line. You guys know, if you watch my polling episodes, this tracks with what we're seeing in all of the other polls. He is underwater on every single issue with the exception of border security. There's a woman who I've mentioned before. I don't know if you guys remember her. Her name is Rachel Janfaza. So she founded a Gen Z specific research firm. She goes out, that's all she does is talk to young voters. And she recently published an article in Vox. And in that article, she shared some of the negative quotes that she's hearing from young Trump voters. So there was a 19-year-old New York resident named George, and he told Janfaza that he's concerned about Trump's escalation in foreign countries as well. And, a lot of these young people are like, look, I don't want to get drafted, right? I'm at that ripe age to get drafted, and so I don't want to see that. And so here's what he said. "It feels like it's very make it up as you go. And then when it comes to Greenland, I feel like it's sort of, what are we doing here? It's not being the good guys on the world stage. And why are you trying to mess things up?" 'Cause George, that's all he knows how to do. And then there's a woman named Corinne that they also spoke with. She's a 22-year-old Trump voter from Ohio. And she expressed similar concerns, but she told Janfaza this: "The no new wars thing is now the biggest joke of my life. It would be one thing if I felt like we were getting involved in something that mattered, but we're inserting ourselves in conflict that we have no real reason to right now." So, Trump has this, as you all know, this insatiable appetite or need to bully other countries, to be the tough guy, right? And then he wants to win the Nobel Peace Prize. That is directly causing him to bleed support with young voters. That, and of course, as I've said before, he's caught between dumb as a rock and a hard place, because you have the hardcore racist Kool-Aid drinkers who love his immigration and deportation policies, or who even think that he's not going hard enough on it. And then you have the people like this who are like, no, like, I'm an immigrant. My family came from another country, or, I just have morals and principles and a conscience, and I don't want to see people treated like this. So it's tanking him. It is destroying his entire coalition that he built in 2024. All right, guys, thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please like, please share, and subscribe. Please donate if you can. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.
Like I said, the evidence is there. And the majority generation, it's the future voting bloc, is the younger voters. they're not liking what these GOP's dishing out. Like I said, for whatever reason people voted for Trump in 2024, the GOP, some of them that voted for him was probably based on the economy. And they felt like their quality of life wasn't getting better. And Democrats didn't do enough to answer to that. Okay. Came down to messaging. They felt like the Democrats weren't doing enough to make their life better, the younger voters. That's why I said populism's key, because younger voters are more populist than the older voters. Even young conservatives are more populist than older conservatives. Okay? They have more in common with the progressive left than the older generation did with conservatives. So it is, Democrats can win these people back easily. They're right now doing it on default because Trump's messing up so bad. But Democrats can actually win them over instead of, we're going to win because this other guy's so terrible. Which frustrates me because the Democrats do this whole lesser of two evils thing. And it's like the GOP has to implode itself for Democrats to get back support. And we're kind of tired of this cycle, and that's explicitly why the Democratic Party's approval rating is so bad. Despite them winning special elections, despite Trump's unpopularity and the GOP's unpopularity, that's due to the fact that us Democratic voters and us independent-leaning, left-leaning independents are not happy with the current leadership of the Democratic Party. It's not because we're not going to vote for Democrats. We are. But we're going to vote for better people. We want a different leadership. We want different representatives in the party. Because we feel like the party doesn't fight enough. It doesn't do enough to hone in the message and fight for the American people. Okay? They lack that populist zest that we need. All right. Republican Party faked it. The Republican Party, don't make no mistake, Republican Party's not populist at all. They're more corrupt than the Democrats. They're showing that. Okay? It's just they talk about things that get people riled up, worked up. All right. So, the future generation is more progressive. I know that for a fact. Some of them may have voted for Trump. Some of them may identify as conservative or moderate, but at heart, they're more progressive than they even know. And they know they'll learn that more quickly now, living through the Trump presidency, seeing what's going on and seeing what the GOP truly are, what the GOP truly is, and what they represent. This corporatocracy. Yeah. Most younger people aren't into this. They're looking at this going, their quality of life's not getting better, it's getting worse, and they know that. Just as much as anybody else. And they know Donald Trump and the GOP are contributing to it and making it worse. Okay. So that's the reality. And I'm glad people are waking up. And that's why I said we're approaching a new day in America. And all I got to say to that is thank God. All right. That's all I want to say in this video. See you all later. Have a great day. Have a great night. Goodbye. Love you.